I guess it's time to talk about my fingernails. In my previous videos on classical and fingerstyle technique, I've mentioned that I play with fingernails. And even in several of my other videos, you can see that I usually default to playing with my fingers over a pick. And I am well aware that growing out your nails to play guitar is unappealing for most people, but I'm going to talk about it anyway, because if I don't, who will? I know it's not for everyone, and you do not have to do it. Everything I've said in the past about fingerstyle technique applies with or without nails. But if you're serious about playing fingerstyle guitar, especially if you're dabbling in classical guitar, you should at least try it. It's not that bad. You get used to it pretty quickly. I grew mine out when I first started studying classical guitar. I haven't cut them since, and that was like 10 years ago. First of all, why would you even want to do it? What's the benefit? The tone. It's all for the tone. The tone gains are much greater on nylon strings than steel strings, but even still, you can achieve some pretty great tone on steel strings as well. Although on steel strings, you're not lacking so much by playing without nails. Nylon strings have a very warm sound, and incorporating nails helps to brighten them and balance out the tone. They also have a much lower tension than steel strings, and nails help to produce a more sharply defined attack, which is always nice. Some of you have suggested in the comments that playing with nails is like attaching picks to all your fingers. That's not quite true. It's not just the nails that make contact with the strings, it's actually a combination of the nails and the flesh on your fingertips. You can see where the strings have left indents on my fingers. So, how do you actually achieve this? Step 1, stop trimming your nails on your right hand. Let them grow. Step 2, become left-handed. Not literally. What I mean is you should start being mindful of how you grab stuff with your right hand. You don't want to be digging your nails into stuff. You want to keep them as undamaged as possible while you let them grow. Step 3, round off the corners. Nail clippers leave these sharp corners on your nails that are prone to snagging on things. As these continue to grow, you want to get a nail file under there and just round off the edges. You're ultimately going to do this anyway once they've reached their ideal length. Step 4, reach the ideal length. Once they peek past the ends of your fingers by a millimeter or two, it's time to start shaping them. Step 5, shape your nails. So many classical guitar teachers have an idea of how your nails should be shaped. The fact of the matter is everyone's fingers and nails are different. That's just genetics. So there's no one size fits all shape or length. I've tried a lot of different things over the years, and the method I currently use for nail shaping is the best I've encountered. When you prepare your fingers on the strings, your fingertips all meet on the same plane, despite the fact that your fingers are all different lengths. Imagine the file is the plane where your fingers meet the strings. So I just kind of get under there and go back and forth. I file all 3 of these nails together. You just kind of want to rock back and forth as you go. Really make sure you get all the way to the edges. Don't spend too much time on any one spot. You also want to lay your nails really pretty flat and get super under there too. And by filing them all together as if you're on the same plane as the strings, what happens is you end up with a tailor-made shape for your fingers. That's why if you look at my nails, you can see they're all different shapes and lengths. Thumb, you can file it on its own. You do basically the same thing with your thumb. I like my thumbnail pretty long. That's really up to personal preference. In your pinky, you don't even really need to grow it out, but it might look kind of dumb if you just have one trimmed nail on your right hand. Also, you can use it to pick your nose and dig in your ears and stuff, so there's that. Step 6, buff. So you filed your nails, congratulations. They are now way too rough to ever produce a good tone, so you need to smooth them out. I use 500 grit sandpaper. You can't get this at Lowe's or Home Depot. Also, definitely don't sand your nails with 80 grit sandpaper. You can kiss them goodbye if you do that. You can get this on stringsbymail.com. It's super cheap. As you can see, this piece is largely spent. But it comes in full sheets, and I just cut them up into little strips like this. Basically, you just really go to town on each nail individually. There's not really a process here. Just get them really smooth and get any excess off. Don't be afraid to really get in there. Sometimes I see people fold it over their nail file like this and then go at it that way. I don't do this much, but it does work pretty well. You're not done though. Step 7, polish. You want to use something even finer than 500 grit stuff. I use this, which is a piece of leather nailed to a block of wood. It's kind of a long story how I came to using this. I realize it's not a realistic option for everyone anyway, not very vegan friendly. You could use one of those foam buffer blocks you can get in the nail care section at Walgreens or whatever. You could also use 1500 grit sandpaper, which you can also get on stringsbymail.com. Whatever you use, the process is pretty much the same as the previous step. Just go to town until your nails feel like glass. Sometimes I'll just sit here and idly do this. Sounds good. Now, time to address all the excuses I've heard a million times. I can't grow my nails. They're too thin and break all the time. Yes, you can. My nails are thin, and I rarely break them. The trick is to file and polish them frequently, like once a day, to remove any tiny cracks and chips before they get worse. If they get worse, they're more likely to break. Even as you're growing them out, it doesn't hurt to do a quick all the way across every day without taking off any length. I bite my nails. If you must bite your nails, bite the nails on your other hand. What happens when I break a nail? Then my tone will be ruined. Yeah, that's true. It does happen. And when it does happen, it's always right before a performance. And it's always the lamest thing that caused it, like opening a door or flipping a light switch. If I'm going to break a nail, I want it to happen while I'm saving a puppy from getting hit by a car or something. So what can you do when you break a nail? If you didn't lose any material, you may be able to glue it back together. You can use super glue, but they make nail glue specifically for that reason. It's always good to keep a bottle in your guitar case. Don't use Gorilla Glue. I've tried it. Not a good idea. You can also apply one of those fake glue-on nails to get you through the performance. And an even cooler hack is ping pong balls. Ping pong balls have a similar radius as your fingernails, and if you cut out a sliver from one and glue it on your nail, you can file and shape it just like your fingernails. The tone is pretty much the same too. Lots of professional classical guitarists actually do that. I think it's really entertaining the lengths people will go through for their tone. After all, your tone is one of the most important and difficult things to master as a guitarist, or any instrument, really. Your tone is in your hands. It's not your guitar, it's not your amp, it's not any of your effects, although they obviously contribute to an extent. And if you're a fingerstyle guitarist and you're a tone chaser, you should try the nails. I've always said that if I fail to make a living as a musician, at least I can open a nail salon. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next week.